Hey guys, we're back with more Phasmophobia content. Today we're going to be talking about things that we would like added to Phasmophobia in the future, maybe something further down the road, an update, different things such as ghost interactions, some changes to multiplayer, things like that. What we are going to be doing though is something a little bit different today. Today I'm actually going to have a guest on the channel. Those on our Twitch channel know her as Risky Ginger. Risky, if you want to go ahead and say hello to everybody.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for joining me. So we're basically just going to kind of hop straight into this. I wanted to do something a little less formal today, so here we are.
It shall be fun.
Is there anything that jumps out to you that you want to start talking about?
One of the things that they've already completed in a minor update, which was a general change or addition to the game, they have included the random weather changes and chances on each map. I do have one complaint about them, and it's gonna sound probably a little silly, but that heavy rain seems to occur most frequently. But not only is it just heavy rain, it is also a very, very loud thunderclap. It is enough to startle you like the ghost just popped up in front of your face. I wish they would kind of mess with the volume on that right now because it is just so overbearing and startling. I know that the heavy rain is supposed to help like deter your auditory sense so that you don't hear things happening as easily when like the ghost is throwing things around. But at this point, I think it's kind of a little overboard. It's gone just a little too far, and I'd like to actually see them back it down a little bit. However, seeing the random weather on each map is actually pretty cool. The one thing is I think they also need to work on the snow clipping through some of the maps because it makes it really hard to see ghost orbs.
No, I agree with the snow for sure. I'm not sure about the thunder or not. Just personally, I think that when it does strike, it does make you jump. And I think that was kind of the point of it with like lightning strikes and stuff, was to set you on ease. But at the same time, I will be honest, for me, I mean, yeah, it's loud, but it doesn't ever really make me jump. Does that make any sense? It's just like, oh, that's loud.
So it makes me jump, but only if I'm still like standing outside the house. The other thing is it's kind of inconsistent because you get that one really big thunderclap and that's it. Other than that, you just have the heavy rain. Let's pick. Are we going to have heavy rain or are we going to have a thunderstorm?
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about the rain. I mean, I do like the snow. Honestly, I don't know. I would like to see more fog.
I believe they actually took the fog out temporarily because it was causing issues with cameras in the game. I don't know if they've re-added it or not. But last I knew, they had actually temporarily disabled the fog.
I mean, that makes sense. I would like to, I mean, personally, I want more exterior options for maps in the future. I think the exterior locations are a good idea. However, with the current setup of Phasmophobia, where it's kind of a room-based situation, you know, like the ghost typically has a specific room or like a hallway, it is kind of confusing on the campsite as to if the ghost can have, is it in a tent? Is it actually, you know, in an exterior location? I'm not exactly sure like how the ghost spawn works with getting the evidence. Honestly, the campsite's probably like the hardest map on the game currently, and that's not a bad thing. It just, I feel like it needs to be tweaked or it needs to be defined as far as where is the ghost able to spawn.
We also ran into some issues when they first released Prison as a map with certain pieces of evidence. It was really difficult to gather them, like fingerprints. We're running into that issue again with the outdoor map style. It's really difficult. To start off with, you could only get them on tent doors, but what if your ghost isn't near a tent? What if it's like around the campfire instead? It's not got anything to really touch. Now they've set it up so that you can get fingerprints off of logs or the light switches, but it's not very consistent, and the campsite seems to be where I find, personally, ghosts tend to roam the most, and so there's really no way to really pinpoint down that fingerprint evidence when you've got it roaming so much.
You know, it's funny too, like I agree with that completely. I do find that there's definitely a lot more roamers on that, and I was just curious because we had a ghost that was kind of in that centralized location, a little bit past the tents before you get to like the cabin area. In fact, if you guys haven't seen it, we have a hover video where it actually breaks all of the light bulbs, like they shatter completely, which was pretty cool. So you guys should go check that out. I will leave the link down in the description. But on that map, we couldn't exactly, like, we knew it was in that area and we had some clues. Like there was, I can't remember, I think we had like a ghost orb and maybe spirit box. It was one of the, It was one of the
I thought
two.
you had freezing temps.
Yeah, it might have been freezing temps. It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But we were almost certain that the ghost that we were dealing with was a fingerprint ghost. However, the only object that we really had near us that was any kind of a light source, especially after it busted all the bulbs, was like this little like lamp, like almost like a propane lamp style lamp.
Yeah, it looked like an oil lamp, but it works off of electricity.
Yeah, and I don't think, I'm not 100% sure, so if anybody knows, please let me know down in the comments if they can actually leave fingerprints on that. I mean, it was able to interact with it, but we never got fingerprints.
I actually don't know if they can leave fingerprints on those either. I don't think I've ever seen it, but I also don't know if it's a possibility. The surface is so small, I feel like it'd be really hard to see.
Yeah, and honestly, it's kind of funny that like we both ended up on this fingerprint topic because before we had started chit-chat, and I kind of made some personal notes of some things that I wanted to touch on in the video, and this was actually one of those where I kind of feel and I hope that the devs add more ghost interactions into the game, as far as being able to leave fingerprints on tables, even like walls or pictures.
We see them slap those pictures off of the walls, excuse me, all of the time.
Yeah, constant.
But there's never any fingerprints on the picture frames or on the walls, but they're knocking stuff down. If it's a fingerprint ghost, why can we not get fingerprints from those interactions?
Exactly. And even with that, I think some things horror related that they need to update and kind of work on with interactions is the door interactions. So currently you have one of two door interactions. You either have it where it closes the door or it slowly moves the door.
Yes.
Which is fine. We need a door slam, an actual like audible, loud door slam. You know, you're asking it questions, and that's something else I want to go into here in a minute. Is verbal cues for the ghost or things that you can talk to it about. But we need things that actually make us jump. And the only reason why I say this, I know some people are going to disagree with me. I've played a lot of Phasmophobia since the game released. So for the most part, the game doesn't ever really scare me anymore unless I'm being hunted. And at that point, I'm not really scared like, oh, you know, this is creepy. It's more like I just don't want to die.
I mean, you put so much money into your equipment. At some point, you're like, man, I know that there's going to be reworks and stuff coming, but I still don't want to lose all of my stuff. Exactly. So I don't want to die.
So I can understand for somebody that's new coming in, and maybe it can be something that is difficulty based too, like how scary the game is. Because yes, when I first started playing the game, you know, playing on like novice, every time I would step up, I would be like, oh, this is creepy. Like it would kind of reinvigorate that creepiness a little bit for like a few matches every time I would go up to a next profession, because I was like, I don't know as a new player what the ghost is capable of doing now. But unfortunately, there is nothing to that. It's just how often the ghost either hunts, you know, how quickly your sanity drains, different things like that. But I feel like from novice to what is the hardcore mode called? Insane? Nightmare, yeah. Nightmare mode, there should be a definite increase in the horror aspect. And I know that they're going to be adding in hallucinations soon,
yes,
which I'm so looking forward to.
I believe hallucinations are expected in the Horror 2.0 drop, which is supposed to be a major update. But I'm not sure if they're going to drop it all in one big chunk, or if they're actually going to do it kind of like a trickle, slowly leading up, and then like the showstoppers, the features are going to be dropped in one larger update. If they're just going to kind of do little updates to bring everything up to par and then do the big drop. I'm not quite sure how they're planning to do that, but Horror 2.0 has been in the works for a while.
Yeah, it's been in the works. In fact, actually, as of the time of us recording this content, the video hasn't come out yet. But by the time this video drops on YouTube, so everybody, if you guys actually go back and check out our last Phasmophobia video, that should have come out last week, we actually talk about the Horror 2.0, so there is going to be kind of a trickle on that throughout the year. So we're going to get like little tastes of it here and there.
Which I think is a really smart way. It keeps people coming back. It keeps people invigorated. It keeps things fresh. And that's just going to be the best way to lead up to that big content drop, honestly.
Honestly, that's why we keep coming back to Phasmo. We will typically take a break for like a month or two, and then new content comes out and we're stuck back on it for a while until we have it like completely memorized.
And some of the new stuff that's just come out with like nightmare mode, I mean, it increased the fear in the game, so to speak. With, you know, when you're in nightmare mode, you only get those 2 pieces of evidence and you have to figure it out based on behavior, which sometimes can be incredibly difficult. However, the fact that when the ghost hunts, it can now continue hunting even when there's been a death, that adds a whole new layer of fear.
Yeah, because I can no longer take my friends and be like, and body block them and get them killed.
Right? No more human shield. Like,
yeah, no more meat shield.
As a matter of fact, if you're hiding together, it can simultaneously kill you both. So that adds a whole new layer of fear to it. But at the same time, it does get a little frustrating because there's just not quite enough defining characteristics between certain ghost types that you can consistently get your ghost identified correctly.
Yeah, and honestly, early on, it was a lot easier. If you guys watched our early streams of Phasmophobia, I got to the point back, you know, before Nightmare Mode was a thing, on Professional, I could typically walk into the building, and before I even found the ghost room, I could tell you what type of ghost it was. Just from the way I could hear it behaving or how it acted by the time I did walk into the room. I got pretty good at being able to be like, I'm pretty sure this is a poltergeist, or it's a djinn. And by the time we got done, I'd say I was like 90% pretty accurate. But now, with them having so many variations of ghosts, all of their characteristics kind of bleed into each other.
I want to say there's 21 different ghost types now in the game, and some of them really parallel each other, and that doesn't even throw into the loop the mimic, which can mimic any ghost type and can even change the ghost type that it's mimicking in the middle of a map.
Right. Some things as far as like ghost characteristics I'd like to see change. It's funny because I've seen it, and I think everybody would agree that the poltergeist needs to be more poltergeisty. Because there's so many times where I'm like, man, I think it's a poltergeist. It's been doing nothing but throwing things constantly, slamming doors. Oh wait, it's a shade. Like,
yeah,
at the end of the match, it's a shade. It's like, what is this? So poltergeist needs to be, more hands-on. Obviously, like, that's what a poltergeist is. Maybe some things like pull from the Poltergeist movie. I want you to talk to me through the TV or something. I don't know.
Right, we can interact with that TV, but that's it. Why can't it like change it from the color bars that it shows now? If it's a poltergeist, let it change to that snow effect, that black and white static.
A little salt and pepper.
Exactly. Like, that would be a really cool interaction. And you could even make it a unique interaction so that it's only like a 10 or 20% chance that it'll happen. Like the demon's special ability of being able to instantly hunt above 80% sanity. It's rare that it happens, but it's a possibility. You could do the same thing.
Right. That actually one time, a quick story, everybody. That's how I knew it was a demon. One time I was playing on the Asylum, and it was like I think it was my first run on Professional Asylum. I walked into the building, and within 2 seconds, I think I took 3 steps, it hunted. And I was like, cool, it's a demon, I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that it'll just dead giveaway. You're in there talking a lot and your ghost is getting really, really aggressive. Chances are you've got a yokai because they get mad about a lot of conversation. They're just like, shh, this is a quiet ghost. Act like you're in a library. But, then you've got shades. When you're playing solo with a shade, it's really hard to tell it's a shade because sometimes it's super aggressive and then sometimes it does nothing.
Mm-hmm. Actually, when I was recording footage for this, I had a shade and I was dead set because I was playing on Nightmare. I was dead set on it being... I was like, this is an Oni. This thing has been in my face every 2 to 3 seconds, constantly yelling at me. I was like, it is an Oni and it's a shade.
And turns out it's a shade, but because you're playing solo, the shade's going to behave differently.
Yeah, I mean, shame on me. I wasn't really looking for evidence. I was kind of basing that one solely on just the way it was reacting to me. Mm-hmm. So if I would have got the evidence, I probably could have guessed right, but, shame on me.
Sometimes the best way to learn is to walk into a house and be like, I'm not getting any evidence collecting tools. I just want to see how this thing behaves. Because learning those behavior characteristics is ultimately going to make you more successful in Nightmare mode. The only catch to it is some of the ghost types are not consistent across the board. Like what we were just saying with the shade. Sometimes you'll be in solo and you've got one that's super aggressive and you could swear up one side and down the other. It is going to be an Oni or a Yuri or something like that that's really aggressive because it's in your face. But then you may go a couple maps down the road and you've got another shade, but it's not doing anything. It is just so quiet anytime you step in the house. And so that inconsistency makes it a little bit difficult, and I would like to see a little bit more defining characteristics as far as behavior goes, just so that in Nightmare we can be a little bit more successful, and ultimately it makes those deaths worth it.
Yeah, kind of moving on from that subject, something that we were talking about the other day off cam was having the game having more of a team mentality, especially when on multiplayer. I feel like there should be more tools in the van, because you always, it never fails. There's always that one person that doesn't really want to come in the house. They just kind of want to hang out in the van and they're just watching the camera. And I feel like, and occasionally that's even me, I'm just like, all right, I've been in the house, I've been up and down searching for evidence. I'm getting bored now, but everybody's like, no, let's just keep going. So I'll hang back and watch the cams and see if I maybe get that ghost orb that hasn't shown up yet. But having the ability to maybe have multiple monitors, so you can watch multiple cameras, be able to tell, other than on nightmare mode, on the EMF, if it's actually gonna hunt based off of like maybe certain spikes, so that way they can relay that information like, hey guys, it is amping up to hunt, you need to move like now.
Where it takes almost like that stair step effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love the concept of the multiple monitors at that computer, because it never fails. You do have that one person who's in the van and they're watching the cams, and that is like their job. They're like, I am the dedicated cam man. But if anybody else wants to come take a look, you can't see through their character head.
Yeah.
And so it gets really frustrating. And you've got, 5, 6 cameras. You've got 5 tripods. You've got 6 cameras. So you got 5 on tripods, and 1 handheld. But you can only see 1 cam at a time. And so if you're really trying to find this ghost and you've got them set up all around the house, it makes it really difficult to just sit there and have to flip constantly, because who knows, as soon as you flip off that cam you were just watching, oh look, there could have been an orb. But you're going to spend the next 20 minutes flipping through cams trying to figure out where in the world is this thing.
Right. And I'm hoping too with the cams, maybe as an upgraded like tier 3, because right now we have the static cam that you can place down, and then you have the tripod, which is kind of like an upgrade for it. Maybe have the ability to change the, like on a tripod, either change the height or maybe the angle, or even move the actual camera screen, like the way it's angled from the van, instead of having to have somebody go in and constantly change it. So that way that whoever's out there watching that is in control of all that, or even maybe able to do like a ceiling mounted cam that they can be able to control.
I actually saw something in another game that I thought would be a really cool tier 3 addition, and that is having a thing in your pocket that is kind of like a little phone or a tablet that you can pull out, and it allows you to pan the camera remotely. Right. That would be a really cool addition for a tier 3.
That would be a really good addition, and honestly I feel like that's something that is probably going to make its way to the game. A lot of this stuff is suggestions, and I don't know if any of this stuff's going to make it, but I mean, that sounds like something that would make its way to the game for sure. And I'm trying to think of anything else as far as things for the player in the van. Oh, a good one. This is something that I was thinking about. You have the spirit box. I think it would be nice if there was like another piece of equipment that you could set up in the room that is constantly feeding audio to the van, and whoever's out there has to actually, like, while they're watching the cams, while they're watching EMF, they're actually listening to this audio as well, and maybe can pick up a clue that way instead, and that could be like an extra like new piece of evidence, instead of just like, oh, it's the spirit box but I can hear it out in the van. No, and it is as a new piece of evidence, if you
like want. A voice recorder.
Yeah, like a voice recorder, but like maybe the voice recorder, like where you have to go in the room and actually record it and then play it back, could be like tier 1, but like the tier 3 would be it just feeds it directly to the van, so whoever is out there can hear it constantly. It's feeding it directly to them.
And I think maybe even having like the parabolic mic, because you can carry that around and hear, the ghostly sounds that they like to make and make you jump. So you could have the parabolic as your tier 1. Your tier 2 is the voice recorder that you have to carry on you. Your tier 3 is where it's fed to the van, so you've got a constant set of ears listening. Yeah,
maybe it's coming through the tier 3 cam. Let's just throw it that way. That would be a good option. Being able to hear things through the cameras. would be nice.
Another thing that I would really love to see is a dedicated monitor in the van for us to be able to use a handheld video camera and record interactions. Right now, we take still photos of interactions, like if it interacts with a door or a radio or a cell phone, we take a still picture and it gets labeled as interaction. Well, what if we could record those things and it was fed from our camera straight to a monitor in the van? And that monitor is what's allowing us to collect these different recordings so that our interactions are actually like real-time video recorded interactions.
Hey guys, just wanted to say if you made it this far in the video, thanks for sticking around. This is going to be like a 3-part series, so stay tuned later this week. We're going to have some more content dropping very soon. With that being said, if you guys haven't already, come check us out on Twitch. Again, we've got more content also over on Hover you guys can check out of some of our best clips. And if you're interested, again, we have a new merch line out as well. And with that out of the way, until next time, this is Obi signing out.